Okay, so how should I start this video? In the name of the pickle and the lettuce and the red ripe tomato? No, that doesn't quite work. How about in the name of the ribeye and the New York strip? No, not either. Interesting that I think all of the world religions that we know about are grain-based. So let's cut to the ones that I know the best. I know about Moses' freedom from the Pharaoh, and we know the Egyptians weren't very healthy. So I think Moses came up with some kosher rules to try to protect the health of the new inhabitants of the new place, and where they settled land of milk and honey. And he put some rules and regulations in there. Now, theologians have gone back and said, I wonder why we don't allow certain animals and why other animals are allowed. So let's forward 3,500 years to, 1,500 years to Jesus and Catholicism. And we have a dietary restriction during Lent, where we cannot eat fish, anything but fish on Fridays, unless you're doing some other kind of penance. And they have 2 fasting days, Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. And since I fast 24 hours a day, I guess I'm good with that. So let's cut to today in our traditions. We have tribes out there. We have like these uber carnivores, right? And then we have uber veg, raw, vegan, right? And then somewhere in the middle, we have this big line of standard American diet or standard Western diet. Again, heavy in grains, all the things you're not supposed to eat, right? But what I'm interested in is the folks on the ends who don't eat the garbage in the middle. They make sense, both sides. You can get healthier if you eat a whole food diet over a regular Western diet. I'm not so big. Let me back up even a little bit there. When people find a new idea that helps them, they get really excited. They just want to share it with everyone. And sometimes they don't understand, why don't you see this? Well, they're not ready. Atkins blew through somewhere in the late 90s where I used to work, and I remember everyone was on bacon and everyone was doing this, doing that. And I could have done it then had I been looking, had I cared, had I known. I mean, I was fat, but I wasn't looking. I guess I wasn't sick. I was sick, but I didn't feel sick. That is, like, in my 30s, if I were where I am today in my 50s, I'd be sick as hell. But, so it wasn't such a big deal then. I wasn't looking. I was busy making a buck, raising the family, doing the thing, right? And then later, I was really starting to feel horrible. And believe it or not, Dr. Eric Berg's video pops up on Healthy Keto. And I said, okay, let's do that. And it worked. It didn't work as well as what I'm doing now, but it got me off the Western diet, right? And I was even healthier still because I would still eat butter. And I ate a mostly Mexican diet. With that, there's some beans here and there. I mean, we didn't eat much of it, but there was a significant amount of rice, if I remember. And then always kind of a meat cooked in a sauce. And then you either made tacos or, you just cut it up on your plate. It's really like regular food, just a little spicier and a little purer than, say, Tex-Mex, Arizona Mex, Calimex, New Mex-Mex, right? They tend to add more processed foods where we literally whole foods. But I was drinking a lot of soda water, fizzy drinks. And I really have a feeling that was my biggest problem. Just pouring liquid fructose down my gullet. So now I got rid of healthy keto, kind of sort of went ketovore. Now I'm carnivore, and I call it 99% by weight, because the amount of veg that I ever eat over the course of a duration, Professor Bart Kay speaks about this. You take me over the course of a year, and you weigh all the meat I ate, and then the veg, seasonings, cake, or sweet bread, or something traditional that I decided to join in with the other tribes, right? It's 1% by weight. I mean, I can go through, or you can go through, I mean, just let's be very conservative, calculate 750 grams of meat per day for a year, all right? And then find out how much veg that is. There's no way I could even possibly eat that much veg, even divided over the 365 days. So let me cut to the crux now. Carnivore is not a religion. And I know people mean well when some groups say, well, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, because you'll be blowing it. And at the same time, those same people might say something like, well, each person is an individual and they need to do kind of what they need to do, right? So maybe everyone should just kind of step back and relax. Seems to me in world politics and world economy and world whatever, people are like just being pretty mean lately. Maybe in our little nutrition spaces, we might just be a little nicer. I do like that Dr. Berry is, talking about us vegan brothers and sisters. Now, here's where I will draw a line in the sand and a non-negotiable issue. I have come up with a quote that I think is mine. And I said, the truth is always free. It's always free. The truth is absolutely free, and it's self-evident. If you have to pay for truth, then you're lying, all right? And what I mean by that is if you're being paid and you're lying about the vegan or the carnivore lifestyle, which really I have never noticed any carnivore lie that I've tested, because it always works. There is no need to lie. But the vegan side, we know for a fact, you're going to lack vitamin B12. We're done. That argument's over with. If that's supposed to be a proper human diet, and you need supplements at all, for any reason whatsoever, how does that work? You explain to me. And some of the carnivore sides, they supplement if they want. I never did. I've never supplemented. I haven't taken a medicine. I'm not getting into the weeds on all of this, oh my God, all this nutrition kind of stuff. So I think what you need to do is, I agree, I think you need to use the elimination diet. And I would suggest, good 3 months, get fat adapted. This seems to be what most folks are talking about. And then if you want to reintroduce a salad, I felt like really yuck, then don't eat it. Or I want to reintroduce this or that. And if it works, then great. If not, then don't. So at least maybe in our nutrition world, we could get along a little bit. Nobody's praying to a carnivore god. Nobody's praying to a vegan god, all right? As a matter of fact, I really want to close with this. I think Jesus in John 6 definitely talked about the bread that will be consecrated, the bread that will undergo transubstantiation is meat, flesh, indeed. And the wine is blood, indeed. So if I'm going to read into that a little bit, maybe, and because Jesus did move out of the kosher world, there's no doubt about that. If you look up kosher, and when people challenged him, even in the scriptures, I have tradition, thank God, but a lot of people just have the 66 books. And if you have 73 books, then obviously you're Orthodox. But if you have 66 books in there, we know for a fact that Jesus challenged the dietary paradigms. And then he comes up with this speech on in John 6. And he puts people in their place saying, hey, you know what? Ditch kosher. What you eat doesn't defile you. and let's start eating meat and drinking blood again. I mean, from the animals, that kind of thing. And of course, in beef, you don't even get blood. So, but the Catholics do talk about red meat, and of course, the color of blood is red, right? So, I think Jesus finally said, "Eat what floats your boat, because that's not going to impact your soul. So make your body feel as good as it can." All right? And I think with that, it's a good place to shut it off. So I guess like everyone says, to help the algorithm or whatever, like, subscribe, share, forward it to somebody who might be a little zealous, and maybe, like Dr. Saiba says, maybe this will resonate with you, right? So anyway, guys, you take care of yourselves. Happy 2024. Be well.